Magic is not something you get to experience often as an adult. As you age, it gets harder and harder to buy wholeheartedly into the fantastical, and harder still to find fantastical things that don't feel to some extent like you've seen them before. I've found some good trade-offs for losing that innate sense of wonder over the years, like gaining the ability to appreciate the effort, time, and care that goes into my favorite media, but I can't say that I don't miss it. In fact, I think that a big part of what motivates my continued investment in anime, crazy and imaginative as it can be, is a search for movies and shows that can instill those feelings in me. And when I do find something that sparks them, I cherish it. From that preamble, you can probably guess that I quite like Penguin Highway. Like, quite a lot. Watching it, I saw shades of many things that I love, yet on the whole, it feels almost entirely fresh. It is one of the most thoroughly imaginative visual spectacles I've ever seen animated. A stunning theatrical debut from webgen wunderkind Hiroyasu Ishida, previously known for some phenomenal short films, that has instantly made him one of my favorite working anime directors. And as it's adapted from a novel by Tatami Galaxy and eccentric family author Tomihiko Morimi, you can trust that there's sharp character writing and a strong plot behind all of that fantastical oddity. On that note, part of the joy of this film is not knowing what to expect from it. It is a mystery with depths far beyond what its modest premise, a precocious Japanese schoolboy investigates the sudden unexplained appearance of penguins in his small town, might suggest. And since I don't want to ruin that magic for you, I'm going to avoid spoiling the film's surprises as best I can in this review. I'm going to keep my spoiler level lower than the film's trailer. But if you trust my recommendation and you'd like to just see it for yourself before hearing anything I have to say, 11 Arts, who provided the screener copy that I watched for this review, are putting on a limited theatrical run across North America starting April 12th. You can click the link in the doobly-doo to see where and when it will be playing near you. Okay, so if you're still here and not returning from going to see it, you're probably wondering, what the heck is a Penguin Highway? Put simply, it's a coming-of-age story about a young man in the throes of early puberty trying to make sense of a world that makes less and less sense with each passing day. The questions raised by the film's inciting incident, how did a colony of penguins end up in the middle of a field in Japan and where did they go afterwards, only lead to stranger questions as they're answered. Our hero, Aoyama, is a brilliant schoolboy with a vested interest in science and a boundless sense of curiosity about the world around him. In his own words, every day he learns new things and becomes a little bit better. And he can't even imagine how amazing he'll be when he's finally all grown up in a little over 3,000 days. So yeah, you could say he's a bit full of himself, in spite of his very convincing claims to the contrary.
とすると、僕よりも偉いかもしれないのだ。このように慢心しないのが僕の偉いところだ。
But while that attitude grates on others in the film's world to an extent and gets him in a fair bit of trouble, especially with Suzuki, the class's resident puberty-hit early tough guy, it gives Aoyama an unflinching optimism that makes him a very fun protagonist to root for. And ultimately, his naive belief that he can do anything he sets his mind to is framed as a strength in the film, not a weakness. Also, as boys his age often are, he's horny as hell. Just about every thought that he has that's not about science is about boobs, especially the boobs of the nice lady at the dentist's office who teaches him chess in her spare time. And he's even got some scientific hypotheses as to why boobs are suddenly making him super happy. One of the things that I really appreciate about anime coming-of-age stories, in contrast to their Western counterparts, is that they don't shy away from that unavoidable part of growing up, or relegate it to jokes that only parents will get. Bright and precocious as he is, Aoyama's not some improbable child genius. He's a kid with a fair deal of confidence and scientific knowledge in his pocket, sure, but he doesn't know anywhere near everything. And he approaches most situations with just enough of a dumb, immature attitude that he comes off as endearing rather than insufferable. It's kind of like watching Hogarth from the Iron Giant try to deal with the more surreal alien nonsense of Fooly Cooly, albeit turned down to a PG-13. And that combination is exactly as fun as you'd think it would be. The film does a lot of small things to help you get into the myopic headspace of a curious fourth grader. No matter how fantastical the imagery were shown, it's presented in a mostly matter-of-fact way with little explanation and zero resistance on Aoyama's part to believing what he's seeing. And as kids tend to have a pretty limited perception of the people around them, we only ever learn the family names of Aoyama's friends and classmates. The adults in his life, meanwhile, even his beloved One-chan, remain completely anonymous. Also, the camera spends a lot of time pointed at breasts and breast-like objects, for whatever reason. I think my favorite way this film captures the mentality of childhood, though, is in its decidedly playful application of the scientific method, as exemplified by using a probe made out of Lego to explore, well, I promise not to spoil it. There is something immensely charming about seeing a scientific lens pointed at events beyond the wildest child's imagination. It reminds me of the time I spent fiddling with kids' science kits, mixing random gunk in test tubes just to see what would happen. Except that, of course, in this case, Aoyama and his friends' scientific prodding produces the kinds of incredible results that young Geoff only dreamed of. The film makes a strong case that the pursuit of scientific knowledge is inextricably tied to our innate, playful love of discovery. Aoyama is joined in his study of the world by two lovable classmates, his best friend Uchida, an excitable and nervous but perceptive young man with his own passion for learning, and Hamamoto, the headstrong, scientifically minded daughter of a local researcher who is the only classmate Aoyama will acknowledge as his intellectual equal, and his eternal rival in chess. And then, of course, there's his One-chan from the dentist's office, who is both the subject of his research into boobs and other things, and at times his assistant. Exactly what kind of person she is proves to be as much a mystery as the appearance of the penguins, and again, I won't spoil it. But I will say that the character interactions in this film are an absolute delight. It's brimming with witty dialogue and wordplay that is very clever while still remaining entirely within the realm of believable child dialogue, and a good deal of physical comedy on top of that just makes it fun to watch. And that's good, because the wondrous, surreal plot is frequently interspersed with a lot of mundane, day-to-day character interactions, and they would really drag it down if they weren't entertaining. Those moments provide a bit of contrast that makes the fantastical elements stand out all the more, but they also help to ground the film's reality, which makes those elements more believable. It is a tightly written movie, and even at 2 hours, nary a moment of it felt superfluous or boring, at least not to me. I think it also helps a lot that it's drop-dead gorgeous, which is to be expected, I think, from the team working on it. Colorido is a new studio with a lot of young talent, but they've managed to make a mark over the years with several great short films and a few commercials that you might recognize. The cute little girl riding the chair from the Noi Tamina stinger was also them. And their strong animation chops are put to great use in this film. The characters, especially the penguins, ooze personality with every moment, both through exaggerated motions and more subtle tics. And when the film's big ideas come to the fore and it needs to visualize the impossible, holy crap does it ever deliver. Again, no spoilers, but I don't often get to say I've never seen that before, and this film had me consistently thinking that. Plus, this is maybe the most awe that I've felt watching a flying sequence this side of a Miyazaki production. And that makes sense, given that Penguin Highway's character designer, Yojiro Arai, spent time in the trenches at Ghibli working on The Wind Rises and Arrietty, as well as on Makoto Shinkai's Ghibli knockoff, The Children Who Chase Lost Voices. That influence is clearly noticeable in the finished product, but still, regardless of where he got his start, this is extremely impressive work for Arai's first lead role on a feature film, which is, if you haven't noticed, kind of a running theme with Penguin Highway's staff list. Even the phenomenally talented composer, Umitaro Abe, who managed to write a score that feels right at home alongside a friggin' Hikaru Utada ending theme song, cut his teeth on this project. And I think that shows in the best possible way. Penguin Highway is bursting with the creative energy of new artists excited to be breaking into new frontiers. But thanks to their experience working on short films and commercials, it's packaged with a level of polish that you don't often see in debut works. I have a feeling that this studio and the talent behind it are going to become household names among anime fans in the next few years. I'm already anticipating their new film about as much as the next Mamoru Hosoda or Makoto Shinkai flick. With all of that said, I'm giving Penguin Highway a silver medal recommendation, but I'd say pump that up to a gold if you're particularly keen on sakuga and animation. It's a fun, wondrous, downright magical film that I think weebs of all ages will be able to appreciate. If you've seen Penguin Highway, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it and which penguin was your favorite. And if you haven't, scroll down in that direction anyway to pick up tickets for a showing near you. While you're at it, I'd appreciate it if you'd like the video, if you liked it, of course, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know that maybe you'd like to see my future videos in your feed sometimes. I'm Geoff Thew, professional shitbag, signing out from my mother's basement.